Okay, so guys, we are on now, and Lions, we have with us Mr. Sharon Remez, 6 times world champion, and he's from Israel, but now he is in Sweden. So, welcome, Mr. Sharon Remez. It is an honor talking to you.
It's exciting to be in the Lions Empire. I just heard about the Lions Empire only a few months ago. I never knew you existed, but now I do.
And you are wearing a Balfour 60 t-shirt, and it is looking wonderful on you.
It's a Balfour 60, yes. They are a part of the reason that I started training again.
Okay. And I think this club is owned by Mr. Chino.
It's not really owned. Chino, which by the way was one of the first finalists in a reality show that was made in Israel, like the Big Brother, like the Big Brother. And it happens that he also loved arm wrestling. He used to compete in arm wrestling. And just one day, a few years ago, he decided to take an arm wrestling table and put it outside on the pavement. And by the way, Balfour 60 is the street address, Balfour number 60, for the place that he took out the table. He had a friend that had a shop there. He took the arm wrestling table and put it out on Balfour number 60.
Oh, that's
how. So people start hearing about arm wrestling in Balfour 60, and all the old guys from the old times. That arm wrestling was very dormant at that time. There was not much happening, and people start coming. So every Friday, people start coming, and the old guys from the old times, the champions, and they start gathering, and it created interest for new people. In the street, when you see people arm wrestling, they come, they ask, they're interested. And from that, new Balfour 60 clubs were starting to emerge all over cities in Israel.
Okay, so that's how it started. It was the name of that street.
Yes, Balfour 60 is the name of the street where it happened. Balfour and number 60.
Number 60. So that's how it started.
And that's how it started. It has no
story.
It's very interesting. It's wonderful. It has absolutely no contradiction with the Israeli Arm Wrestling Federation because most of the people who are arm wrestling and coming to events of Balfour 60 also compete in the nationals, and it's just arm wrestlers overall. There is no.
So basically, it is a club that is promoting arm wrestling.
Yeah, it's a club that creating interest in arm wrestling, and it's growing. It's growing, and it's growing. And they have a WhatsApp group. I'm also in the WhatsApp group, and there's videos of training and how people are training, and they have super matches between guys in Balfour 60 club, one place to Balfour 60 club, and it rises the level all the time because they're hungry to be better all the time, and there are very great names there that I think in the near future can really compete in the level of the European level. Well, you never know until they will do that, but
But at least they are working for it. At least they are working.
They are working for it. They have all the equipment. They have all the pulleys. They have everything that is needed to be a great arm wrestler.
Oh, that's great to hear. So I would like to ask you, Sharon, how did arm wrestling happen in your life? How did it all started? This great journey.
Well,
at what age? At what age did you started arm wrestling?
Well, I arm wrestled for fun since I was probably 6 years old.
Okay.
It was like a strength kind of battle. I was always a strong boy since I was a little boy. I was very explosive. I used to throw a cricket ball. A cricket ball. Of course, you in India, you know what a cricket ball is.
We all love cricket. Yeah.
When I used to live in England, with my family, my father was in England, and in school, there were competitions in throwing cricket balls. So when I was 10 years old, I threw a cricket ball 56 meters, which is good for a 10-year-old.
Yeah. That is an amazing throw. Yeah.
Yeah, and when there was no cricket balls when I came back to Israel, but I took something that is just as heavy and I threw it for 98 meters.
Oh man.
It was a very explosive hand. I used to throw stones and throw, and I had a very good explosive hand. But arm wrestle, we used to arm wrestle all the time in the neighborhood.
Okay.
And by that, my name was like joined with arm wrestling, and people all around started to knowing that I'm strong at arm wrestling, and my friends, so they brought other friends that add somebody else that is very strong, and that's how they matched me up. And my name in my city became like this guy is very good at arm wrestling. And that's how it began, but not competitive. No, we never knew that there was competitions arranged or it was a sport. We didn't know that. I didn't know that it was a sport, really, until the movie Over the Top.
Oh man. That that is the movie for all the arm wrestlers. We all have grown up seeing that movie. Every arm wrestler loved that movie. Yeah.
Of course. So we knew about the movie Over the Top. Well, when you saw the movie, you think it's a movie. You didn't know that it's really a sport. But then, because the producers and the director were Israeli, from Israel, and they made arm wrestling competitions in Israel and in many countries, by the way. They did it also in England and many countries. And the winners there, in which weight category, were sent to Las Vegas to compete in the real Over the Top tournament.
Okay.
And but I didn't know about it. I missed that. But the year after, they started making Israeli championship in arm wrestling. So I went there the first time. A year after, that was 88.
Okay.
A year after the movie. And I went there, and in the first championship, I came second. My first championship
Okay.
ever, I came second. And the guy that I lost to said that he was in the Las Vegas in the competition, and he says, you have a great potential, and you're very explosive, because I took him like this to the pad, and he managed to pull me back. And since that day, when I started training with him, which really, I went up like that, and since then nobody could touch me.
Oh, that's great.
Because
So,
in the beginning, you arm wrestle, you just think you have to go like that to the pad, and then everything. I started thinking, and everything came into place, and I stood a little rug, and I start a little straight, and use back pressure and top roll, which came natural to me. I never thought about it. It just appeared, and I became very, very dominating. In Israel,
okay.
there was an arm wrestling every month in different cities. There was 12 a year, and I won all of them without any problem. 4 years in a row in Israel without,
Okay.
not more than a second a match.
So after watching Over the Top, you were literally over the top in some years.
Oh yes, I was.
Yeah, you were literally over the top. When did you become the world champion? First time.
So,
And what
so
was the
I went
feeling
to
after
the
that?
I went to the World Championship. I won the Israeli Nationals, and they sent us to the first World Championship that I won, which was in Greece, Athens, in '89. And I came there to the final, very easily, and I won the finals there very easily against a guy called Riccardo Nicolini from Italy, which, by the way, was also a Greek-Roman wrestling champion that competed in the Los Angeles Olympics. And and I won there, and then everybody looked, oh, this guy is really good, people start saying. So just for fun, they put me and Cobra on the stage in the end of the Greek, the arm wrestling world championship in Greece, and me against him, and we were arm wrestling sitting down at that time.
Okay. At that point of time, arm wrestling used to be on the sitting table.
Yes, it was sitting table.
Okay.
It was a normal arm wrestling table, but it was sit down. And
I have also played on that table.
And in that
many years back.
In that competition in Greece, it's the first time I met Cobra Rhodes, which won his weight class there, and that's where we were introduced, and he was really, impressed because I had a very, very, very strong hand, and he really couldn't do anything much with me.
Okay, so that was an official match, or
no? That was just up on the stage for everybody to watch, because everybody wanted everybody wanted to see that.
It was a show match.
It was a show match. The competition that we competed against each other, it was in the overall finals in Bercy Stadium in Paris for the Open World Championship, with John Bozink was there and Gary Goodridge was there, and that was a great event.
So you have become you have won the world's overall also.
I won the world overall not at that time. I won it in 1992. So in 89 I won in Greece. In 90 I won in Houston, Texas, at 90 kilos. In Paris I won in 90 kilos, and I competed in the overall. There Gary Goodridge came first, John Bozink came second, and I was third there.
Okay. In the same weight category.
In the same weight category.
So you pulled.
I competed in the open class also. In my weight class, I won in the open class in Paris. I mean, not in Geneva. And we were in the open class, and unfortunately, it was single elimination. If it was a double elimination, I could have won that, but it was single elimination. So I had a slip. You know who Gary Goodridge is?
I have just heard about him. I don't know much about him.
Gary Goodridge was and John were absolutely at the top of the top, at that time. And, Gary used to beat John used to beat Gary, and Gary beat Cliff Dean, if you know who Cliff Dean was, an amazing, huge, 240 kilos maybe. And
240 kilos.
And that was the first time that I met Gary and John in that competition in Paris. And I had a tough match with Gary, and I almost pinned him the first time, and then he fouled the second time because I pulled him off the pad, and then they put us, he slipped, and they put us in straps, and that was the first time I arm wrestled with straps. Straps was new to me, and it's completely different than arm wrestling without straps. It's very hard to get the control, and he was very used to arm wrestle with straps, and he beat me with the straps. But if it was double elimination, I wouldn't know what to do, but unfortunately it was not. So I had to compete on third place with Cobra Rhodes, which came to the third place there with me, and I beat Cobra there very easily.
Great. So how was the feeling at that point of time, that when you were growing as an arm wrestler on the world stage, everybody was recognizing you? There must be some pressure over you. when you were a known arm wrestler? Obviously,
Yeah,
when
it did start getting pressure. Well, it's really you feel good because people start to know you because something that you do that is good and you are very good at what you do. And then in 1991 there was another world competition in Israel, and I won that also, and I won it in 100 kilos. Although I
okay,
weighed 90, but I competed in 100. And after that, there was a super match between me and Zhao. You know who Zhao, the big Georgian, more than 2 meters, which was
okay,
also eliminated that time. He also beat John, and I won that also against him.
okay,
He's from
uh,
Georgia, from Georgia.
Georgia, okay,
And after that, I went to a competition in Italy, and from Italy, Cobra came there, and he took me to train with him and the Swedish guys in Sweden, here in Sweden, and I met a girl, and I stayed longer and longer and longer, and that's why I'm still here.
okay. So the love story began.
And yes,
Uh,
and
so
then
that
the love story began, and then we went to Geneva, Schweiz from Sweden to the World Championship, and then I won my weight class there, and I won the overall there also in Geneva, Switzerland,
okay.
which
And who?
again Cobra Rhodes was in the final with me in Switzerland, and I won that also.
I have heard a lot that you are you didn't train much during your world fights, and basically
No. Well,
you are
it's
a genetically strong guy.
I'm a genetically strong guy. The genetics, I think, comes from your roots, your system, your family roots. My grandfather used to play football in a national team when they played barefoot. In before the 40s, in the 40s, yes. And
Okay,
but the real strength of what I'm known for my hand and wrist comes from my mother. She
okay.
has that strong wrist and hand and fingers. It's for my mother.
And what do you
But
prefer?
let's talk about training. The only time that I really trained hard is at 88, 89 there, after the guy who told me that I have a potential, which was also a guy that was a sport instructor also. And he really defined what you have to train in order to be good at arm wrestling, because bodybuilding and weightlifting really affects different muscles than arm wrestling. So arm wrestling, it's a small group of muscles that has to be connected together in order that the whole chain will be you cannot be stronger than your weakest link. So if you are strong here but not here, then it will open. So everything has to be connected. I can arm wrestle with my hand like that and still have the power to connect and win. I do it in training. I don't need to be, close to my body doesn't have to be close to my hand. I can be as far away as possible and still have control. And at that year, we trained a lot. We trained a lot of cardio to have stamina. They also built an arm wrestling machine at that time, which is just as good as arm wrestling machines that exist now. And that's 30 years ago almost. And at that time, 1 year, we trained 2 times a week for a few hours. And that's the only thing that I trained really in my life, you can say. Really. So all that jump came from 1 year, and then the rest was from memory.
And you never go into weight training. You I think you
No,
don't trust weight
there
training.
was after 92, which I was in Sweden. And Sweden, it's a new country, it's a new environment, a new language. Suddenly you have a child. By the way, I have two children. One, his name is Harley, like a motorcycle. Another one is River. And I have, two sons, and it's very overwhelming. So everything that has to do with arm wrestling was died down. It's more like new country, survival. What do you do? Things like that. So since then, I didn't train in many, many, many years. So 4 years
Okay.
later, 4 years later, there was an arm wrestling competition in Virginia Beach, the World Arm Wrestling Championship in Virginia Beach. And I didn't train for 4 years. I was weighing 85 kilos at that time, 85.
Okay.
And I flew to Virginia Beach because the Arm Wrestling Federation at that time wanted me to go, and they said, we want a medal, if you can give us a medal. And they said they will sponsor me, they will support me if I get them a medal. So I flew over there and I got them a medal. I I got third place there in Virginia Beach at
Okay.
96. And I competed in 100 kilos, but I weighed 85 kilos.
Oh.
Never in.
Was there a reason that you were always competing in the upper weights?
It's challenging first. The reason
Okay.
in 96 is because there was other guys coming from Israel that was in that weight class. I didn't compete in the nationals. I just flew over there, but there was others that
Okay.
qualified for that weight class. So I went to 100. It really didn't bother me so much. But
Okay.
I was not
So
in shape. I didn't train for 4 years. That level that I was there is you can say that I have a very high low level. So if you take me from the street to compete, I can get third place in the world championship at that time. Yeah.
that really reflects your power and your strength. That really reflects, and obviously it goes with your genetics.
It has
Your,
absolutely to do with genetics. I think you can train to be good, a good arm wrestler, but to be a superstar, you have to have something a little more. That's what
yeah,
I think.
yeah. You are
There's
right. You are right.
many good basketball players, but not everybody is Michael Jordan, Ella was, or LeBron James, or all these people.
Yeah, you are right. Talent is a very important part, and if talent works hard, they can really achieve that superstar status. You're right. But
Exactly. So
talent and genetics are.
at that time when I was in my best, and people, they thought, in Paris when I was there, that John took second and Gary first and I third. So we went up on the stage, me and John, to the arm wrestling table, and we were pulling there, and he said, which is the truth, he says, I cannot control your hand, he said, because eventually I managed to get control and win. And that created, some talks. People started talking,
Yeah.
And at 92, there was a competition called the Yukon Jack in the United States, which was the toughest arm wrestling competition in the world at that time. And I went from Sweden. I flew over to Tampa, Florida. And in Tampa, Florida, I came to the final there with Ron Barth. On the 8th side,
Okay.
I beat everybody, including Ron Barth, very easily, and I came to the final on the A side with no losses.
Okay.
And and Ron Bath came with one loss to me to the final there, and John was in the crowd there looking, and everybody was really amazed, and the guys came there and told me that Ron Bath is the best guy that I ever beat at that time. They told me, this guy that you beat now is the best guy that you ever beat. And I really thought that I'm going to win that. But then, him and Ron Bath and John were talking on the side, about some tactics, what they can do against me. So I think John told him to sleep and to get me into the straps, because he saw that I had problem in the straps before in Paris. So that's what he did. He put me in the straps. So we had a long match in the straps, and he won 2 matches in a row and with the straps. But now I can tell you, many years later, I train with the straps and I know how to work with the straps. But since then, that time, I really hardly trained. It's just now, the last year, since I came to Israel a year ago until now, I'm training 3 times a week now for 1 year.
Okay, so you are making a comeback now?
Yes, I am. I'm going to compete in the Swedish nationals.
Okay.
Now, well, whenever.
In which categories? Senior category?
Senior category. Yeah.
Okay.
So there's people who come to the club that
expect to see you in the Worlds in 2021.
That is the plan.
Yeah.
People say that it's very, very hard to come back and the level is different. I said it before. People say that the level is different. It's not what it used to be. And I always say that there is the only difference is that there is more competitors in higher level than it used to be before. But the people who were the best then can compete with the people who are the best now. There's just a lot more of good people now than it was before.
Yeah, you're right. So who is the toughest competitor till you the toughest competitor you have faced till date?
Can you repeat that? I have hard hearing you.
Yeah, the toughest competitor you have faced till date. The toughest arm wrestler you have faced.
The first one?
The toughest.
Well, you will have to
strongest, the strongest arm. Yeah.
The toughest. Well, the toughest must be Gary Goodridge.
Okay.
Gary Goodridge was the toughest that I ever met. In 2006, I had in Italy a very tough super match with a guy called Edmir, which was the Italian champion. He was is extremely strong in a hook. He even surprised John in one show arm wrestling match, and he beat John once. I had his name is Edmir Fruko, and I had a tough match with him. That's the longest match that I ever had in my life, and that was 2006. I was not training for 10 years. I went to train a few months before in the arm wrestling club, just for that. But I won the 3-2, that super match. It was best of 5. And a year later, there was he wanted a revenge match, and I won that 3-0 because I was more prepared.
Okay, that's great. But in your early years, I think you won all the matches in flick of a second. I think
there was no match more than a second. No, I think for 4 years in a row, in the World Championship even. Yeah.
Okay, you won all the matches just like that.
Just like that, from here to the pad, and that's it.
In seconds.
in seconds. In a second, not even seconds, a second, yeah.
In a second.
Mm.
We would love to see those matches. I hope I can get those matches. I would really love to
I can
search for
send you.
them. And
I think I sent you a few of them.
you have sent me a few, but I would love to see more of them. I would love to see more of them.
It's not that I didn't lose in my career. I did lose. I lost, I think, 14 or 15 times. But it's not
Okay.
guys that I didn't win against. Also, you know, Krasimir Konstantinov, you know, he beat me.
Okay.
It's not that not when I was on my top, but I beat him also, you know, in the Europeans in 2006. So I didn't lose to guys that I didn't beat.
Okay, Sharon, tell me one thing. If you have to pick three arm wrestlers of this era, three top arm wrestlers, who would you pick?
Yeah.
Who would you pick?
Well,
Three top of this era.
well, I have to pick Michael Todd
Michael Todd. Okay.
because he has a lot of endurance, even though that he's sometimes have to use his king's move, which is not pleasant to the eye, but it's very, very effective. The other, which is my personal favorite because I like this guy and we are good friends, is Krasimir Konstantinov, which won overall left now in the Zloty
Casimir.
yeah, Krasimir.
Casimir. Okay.
And well, everybody knows that John is the best arm wrestler of all time. There's nothing to say about that.
Yeah.
But I have to say that well, there's so many to be so wrong not to mention all of them. But Todd Hutchins, for his weight, is one great arm wrestler.
He has immense side pressure.
The
His
side
side
pressure.
pressure is immense. Amazing hooker. He has immense side pressure. Yeah, you're right.
Well,
And,
Devon, I can say about Devon. Of course, Devon is a great arm wrestler, and he beat the most. He beat all of them. He beat John also. He's a great. Well, I should have mentioned John. Let's say 3+1. Let's say also Devon.
Devon, yeah,
Yeah.
he has a different charisma with him. He's more than an arm wrestler, I think. He carries a different personality.
You know, if you put a cape on him, he will fly like Superman.
Yeah, you're right. Okay. Tell me your thoughts about India. As you're talking to Indian guy, I would love to know your thoughts about India.
Well, I knew arm wrestling from, you know, they used to come to all the world championship delegations from India. At that time, there was a guy who, I think his name was Bajay Barandas. That was the head of the delegation, which always, you know, was supporting me. And he always used to say that I'm a great champion. And I don't know the names of many arm wrestlers. I don't think at that time there was many Indian wrestlers that did very well at that time.
Yeah.
Maybe
But now
because
the game is growing. Now the game is growing in
I was
India.
I was watching your videos of your competition when Devon was there, and I
Yeah.
saw that the guys are very technical.
Yeah.
And strong and technical. And India, I know a lot about India. I had friends in India from India when I lived in London. There's in my school used to study with me, and well, India is a great friend of Israel. We have a great partnership. Well, most in agriculture systems and unfortunately weapons also. Nothing.
Okay.
But it's a good relationship. I see in many video clips on YouTube that when it's concerning Israel, there is also always comments from people from India. We love Israel.
Okay, okay. Always good, good feeling that you share good relations with the countries, every country, and especially Israel. India has always shared a good relation with Israel and Israeli people, and it is wonderful to share this kind of bond with all of you. And one thing you would like to share with the young arm wrestlers, that how should a young arm
I
wrestler train?
well, I'm not the best example of training personally because well, you might think I'm lazy because I never lifted weights. I always thought that weights are cold and stupid. I thought that the best training is to train with a variety of people with different hands because that's the most right feeling that you should have in order to be a great arm wrestler is to hold people's hands because a weight will only give you, of course, you will become stronger at what against the weight, but I can give an example. To the club a few months ago where I trained came Sweden's strongest guy, strongman. He can carry trucks, he can lift stones that weigh 200 kilos and stuff like that, which also was the Swedish champion in heavyweight in arm wrestling. He came to the club to check me out, to see where he stands. And I can tell you all his strength. Okay, he can bench press 200 or 300 kilos. I cannot do that, but I beat him in arm wrestling quite easily. So everything that he does in his weights, and even though that he was the Swedish heavyweight champion, he could not do so much with me on the arm wrestling table.
Yeah, you're right. Because we are using all together different muscle groups in arm wrestling that are only active when we are on the table.
Exactly. But I think, of course, weights will give you many kinds of supports. I think many people will not like what I'm saying because everybody is trained with weights, and I should, advise them to continue to do that. But time on the table is the most important.
Yeah, you are right.
And
A person who is
another
doing weights plus the table time can be a really successful arm wrestler if the both things are combined.
yes, yes. He will be very good if he has the natural talent and the genetics, and combine this, he can be, the sky is the limit. I had another
Because
thing that
now,
I had another thing that I was thinking about. Israel, not only Balfour 60, but there's Balfour 60, let's say there's a lot of new talents now. And I see you have in India a lot, in the Lions Empire, a lot of new talent, young guys. I think maybe one time in the future, we'll take four guys in a weight class from Israel, four guys, or and choose four guys from the Lions Empire and do something together.
I have already talked about this with Chino, that maybe in the future, either you guys can come to India or we will come to Israel, and four of our guys and four of your guys, and it will be arm wrestling plus party.
It will be great.
Arm wrestling plus party. So, Sharon, it was lovely and amazing talking to you, and hope we get in touch very soon again. And I would love to see you in India in the coming future.
I will come. No problem.
Yeah.
I'll be excited to do that. India. After what I've seen, all the videos that Devon was there and what I know about India, it will be amazing.
Yes, there are many plans for the future. I hope that things get better with the world, the situation right now the world is in. I really hope that everything gets over in a positive way and we all meet soon.
I hope so.
It was lovely talking to you, Sharon. Hope to see you soon. Thank you so much. And it was an honor talking to you. Honor.
It was my pleasure.
Okay.
So you stop the video now?